Hello, let me welcome you to my studio. So this is the second in a series of drawing faces. So if you missed the first video, go ahead and take a look for it because I'm going to be posting them at the same time. So faces. In the first video, we used very few supplies. I'm just going to show you what supplies I have for this series. I've got a brush for brushing away eraser crumbs. I have a white block eraser. Both of these I got at the dollar store. This was $1. This was 3 for $1. A regular number 2 pencil. And this is a set of some colored pencils that I got at the grocery store. So again, I want you to feel like you've got the supplies at home. I want to say I know they were under $10. I think they were under $5. I think they were like $4.99. And it's a set of Royal Langnickel 24 pencils. Not that I highly recommend this set. I'm just saying whatever you have on hand or whatever you can find at a drugstore or a grocery store, it'll be fine. We're practicing. We're just learning. So get some colored pencils, and I'm going to go ahead and dump these out now, because it's just handier to try to find the color I'm looking for than to struggle with the plastic box. So I'm just going to lay these over here and get this out of the way. I'm going to recommend also, if you don't have a pencil eraser and you're going to go out and buy one, get a metal one. The blades are a little bit heavier, and there's usually 2 openings, which is so handy. If you have just a hand cranker, that's fine. If you have an electric pencil sharpener, wonderful. I personally just tend to grind my pencils away too much in a pencil sharpener that's electric, but many artists use them and they do fine. But this is the one thing I don't recommend you picking up at the dollar store. This one was yet still under $3, but the difference in the quality is so much more. You'll just really notice a difference. Okay, so in the first video, we started out with an oval and we put the landmarks in, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And I'm holding the pencil towards the back because I want to be loose. So I'm going to just draw in an oval, basic oval. Yep, it's sketchy. That's fine. And I'm going to go ahead and put those landmarks in. But you can do what we did before and put the landmarks in. I'll show you. I'm just reaching here. This is what we did in the first video. And you can just go ahead and lay it under so that you can find those landmarks easier. So, you know, if that helps you, go with that. I'm just going to put my landmarks in. And when I'm doing drawing for watercolor or for pencils, okay, I'll back up, I'm sorry. So halfway between the top and the bottom, that's where I'm laying in the eyes. Then halfway between this line and this way, that's going to be the bottom of my nose. And then halfway between here and here, that's going to be the opening of the mouth. So there's our basic landmarks. I'll go ahead and remember I told you your neck or your throat starts at the bottom of your ears, but when we're looking straight on, we really can't see that structure. So I start it at the bottom of your mouth or the opening of your mouth, and there's your throat. And we'll just lay that suggestion in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take my pencil now, and I'm going to lay in some eyes. The eyes are about 1 eye width apart. So like eye is what that would look like. So I'm just going under that line, giving it a C shape, and then an eye width apart, going with a reverse C, and then laying in my half oval on top, half oval on the bottom, same over here, half oval on the top, half oval on the bottom. No 2 eyes are the same, not even on the same head. You'll hear me say some of these things over and over again, but I don't want those to be stumbling blocks. Now, on the skull, beside each eye, there's a little bit of a dent. That's just the way our skulls are and where the orbit space is for the eyes. So I'm just putting those marks in, and then I'm going to go ahead, grab my eraser, and take out the line that is on the outside of that little dent. Oh, okay. Use my brush. There we go. Okay. I'm going to lay in with my number 2 pencil the irises, which you don't generally see the white very much. Definitely not on the top, and sometimes not even on the bottom, but I'm going to go ahead and leave just a little white space at the bottom. Then here is where my nose would go, and there's a C shape and a backward C shape, and then here's the tip of the nose. And then for my mouth, I'm going to just bring up Cupid's bow, and in that first video I have more detail on how I do this, so I am going through this part pretty fast. And there, she's got a little smirk. Okay, now let's start looking at some of our pencils, colored pencils. Now, I understand that there's all kinds of races, but when I look in the mirror, I most commonly see, that's all I see, is a Caucasian. So I'm going to be working with Caucasian colors, but I can show you other races, but for today, this is just what I'm most familiar with. So I'm going to go ahead and take kind of a peach tone, and I'm just laying in some pigment. And we could have started with any number of colors, but I'm just laying in some pigment. And I'm not talking about the pigment of our skin necessarily, but just that this pencil has pigment, and I'm just putting some of that down. Okay, now our faces reflect colors that are around us. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a blue, and I want, yeah, this will be fine. And I'm going to start laying in some shadows. And, you know, as we have shadows happening, it's not always gray or brown. It can be the things around us, the color of the clothes we're wearing, or just whatever it is we're looking at. If we're out for a walk, maybe it's the trees around us. I mean, there's just a variety. So don't feel stuck on just using peaches and browns and pinks, because that's not reality. Okay, so I'm just adding in some shadow. So I added in some shadow on her throat, shadow under the lip, Cupid's bow. There's usually a shadow here, shadow under the nose. There's the shadows that are created from our nostrils. And I added some shadow on each side of the bridge of her nose, because there's not really linear lines that create our noses. It's just the dips and the shadows that create our nose. And then just a little bit under where I'm going to put some brows, little shadow there, a little bit on the sides of her face. And let's grab another color. Let's grab a green. And I'm going to add just some more shadows. Little V shape kind of makes up the structure of our throats. And adding in a little more green. And I'm holding the back of the pencil because I don't want a lot of control. I want it more sketchy. Darken this a little bit. Now I'm going to grab kind of an orange color. And I'm going to add even more shadow. Maybe indicating a bit of a chin. Again, working in the throat area. Hairline. So here's not a bad time to kind of start thinking about the way the hair is going to go. So we'll just say a side part and add some of the, there's always a shadow under where your hairline is. So there's our little shadow. I'm going to go ahead and grab that green again and add a little more to the top of that orange and just creating color. And now I'm going to go back to that peachy tone and I'm going to rub this over pretty much all the colors now. And just going right over. As you use these pencils and you're kind of burnishing, kind of rubbing them, sometimes the waxes create like a film as you're heating up the pencil, and it'll kind of want to quit writing for you. So all you have to do is just grab your eraser and grab your pencil sharpener, give it a couple of twists, and just take that first little bit of pigment off of the pencil, and then you'll kind of refresh it. So I'm just gonna, again, I'm holding the way back of the pencil and I'm just sketchily putting in some more of this color, the pigment from the pencil. And loose, I'm obviously working loose. I am not working all tight like I'm coloring in a coloring book. No, I'm working loose, sketchy. Okay, she's shaping up, don't you think? Now, before I add more colors like the iris and maybe her cosmetics, I'm gonna start with the cotton buds. If I didn't mention that at the beginning, I'm sorry, but I do have a few cotton buds or Q-tips or whatever you call them. And I'm going to take, and I'm just going to start in the fleshy peachy tones and start rubbing away the sketchy lines. But I'm not yet going over the blues and the greens and the browns or any of those other colors that I've added, orange. Just pretty much the fleshy tones. I mean, if you rub into some of these others, you're not going to hurt anything. But just start out with, I want to rub out some of my pencil marks. See? She's coming to life. Now I'm just turning the pencil or the bud. Now I'm going over some of the shadow colors. And I'm just adding some blur to that. And I'm rubbing hard. The different pencils are going to react differently to this, so just adjust to whatever works best for you. And I'm pretty much now rubbing over the whole thing. I've left the tip of her nose pretty white. We're going to add some color to that as well. You have a lot of circulation at the tip of your nose. And so there's usually a little more color there, but you don't want it to look like a big bulbous Rudolph kind of a nose. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to go with a little bit of this oranger color, and I'm just going to put in a little of that orange color on the tip. Now the nostrils are in a bit of a shadow, so they're going to be a little stronger of a color. But I'm just adding a little bit more, grabbing that cotton bud again, and kind of work this in a little more. Okay, no matter if a person wears cosmetics or not, the cheeks again tend to have a little more circulation. So I'm going to grab a pink. You could grab a red, you could grab an orange, you could grab any kind of colors. And I'm just going to lay in some of that rosy cheeks. I'm also going to add it into some of these shadows. And then kind of giving her nose just a little bit more of a definition. Okay. All right. I'm liking this. A little rosiness to her chin and to her neck or throat. we go. Okay, great. The irises. Again, your irises are a color. Blue eyes, green eyes, hazel eyes, brown eyes, but they're looking out into the world and they're reflecting whatever it is you see. So I'm going to start out with some of the colors I've already used. I used this dark blue, I used this green, I used this peach tone, I used this orange tone, no joke. These are the colors that you can put in the irises, and this is what people will think, oh, you know, your eyes are just so soulful, or so. This is why. At least that's what I believe. So I'm going to start with the pink and the pupils in the middle. So I'm just going to draw the outlines of the pupils just to give me that landmark. Not necessarily that they'll be pink, but I'm going to go ahead now. Whatever I do to the one eye, I'm going to do to the other eye. So I'm going to start with the pink right here. Same on both sides, because whatever's causing that reflection would be reflecting the same way in each eye. Now I'm going to grab some of this green. Now our irises, the way that the colors are laid out, it is like sun rays from the pupil out. So I'm working in kind of like if I'm dividing up a pie, kind of those shapes. But I want the lines to be going from the pupil out. Pupil out. Okay, let's get some of that blue. And I'm going to go on this side. So I'm going to be on the same side here. So now I've got some of these colors. Okay, we used the green, we used the pink, we used the pink, the green, the blue. Here's the orange. Not going to add a lot of that, but just a little bit. And now I'm going to go ahead and add her eye color. We're going to pick an eye color. So we'll say that she has brown eyes. So I'm going to pick a color that to me represents a brown eye. This is the best indicator on this particular pencil. Sometimes the color of the pigment is the whole stem. Sometimes it's just on the end. But really, if you look right at the tip, that's going to give you your best indicator of what the color is. I'm going to be going in that from the pupil out all the way around her eye, over all those other colors, but I'm not obliterating them. So I'm just going in that direction all the way around the eye. And there's the beginning of our brown. Now I'm going to find a darker brown. And I'm looking at that because this looks black, but I'm just going to be, yeah, it's brown. Laying in more brown. Laying in more brown. Going in those lines from the pupil out. Now, you can find so many videos and so many books about how to draw eyes. This is just the Julie way. But there's a lot of other ways, and some may tell you, well, this is the craziest thing no, this is what works for me. And that's what I'm sharing with you. Okay, I'm going to grab another brown color, and I'm going to lay it in. Again, I'm going on top of all the colors and just adding a row of another brown. Okay, now I'm going to grab my cotton bud, and I'm just going to give it but round, but I'm more gentle than when I was going around in the face. Now I'm going to take the darkest brown that I have, and that would be maybe this one, maybe this one. One of these two, they look quite a bit the same. This kind of looks a little purpley, so I'm going to go with this one. And now I'm going to go around the iris, the outer edge of the iris, and then right up against the pupil. Same on this eye. Around the outer part of the iris, and then around the pupil. And now I'm going to take this one, and again, I'm going over, but those colors underneath still show, and I'm working from the pupil out. From the pupil, the lines are all aiming that way. And there. Okay, there's the start of our eyes. Now, the whites of the eyes, we have a tear duct, and it's kind of in the red, pink kind of family. So I'm going to grab, and this is kind of a magenta. You can see the tip going right in the corner of the eye. And I'm just putting in that pink, and then right along the waterline, very thin, going in with some pink. And this is going to start to give your eye some life. Now I'm going to go a little bit in from that tear duct and put another line, and that's like the roundness of the eyeball itself. And you can even do it on the outer corner, and that gives your eye more of a round shape. Now, over the top of the eye is always a shadow. Your eyelid casts a shadow. So I'm looking for a gray color. And this may not even be dark enough because it's really more of a silver color. But I'm going to give it a try right over. And I'm like half, cutting this eye almost in half over the top of everything. And then I'm just going to put a little bit at the bottom. And then a little bit in that corner. And that's giving my eye, again, more shape. Now I'm going to go back to that magenta color and just gently fill in this tear duct. And there. Okay. How about some lip color? The eyes aren't done, but let's think about some lip color. I'm going to stick with this magenta. I'm going to put the outside, because she's got lipstick on. I'm going to put the outside edge of her lip, and then the middle, the opening. Now, your lip has lines that are almost like fingerprints, but again, there's a direction. So I start right in the middle, up and down, but then I keep working always in that up and down, going towards the opening of the mouth. The upper lid is always darker than the lower lid, but I want the lines to be going towards the middle. And I'm even accentuating some of these lines. Now I'm going to get another color that would be in this kind of a lipstick color. The pink is, I think, too light, but we can just add some. It will definitely add to. And then I'm going to get even a darker, but in the red family, to add to the top lip. And now I'm really making those lines more obvious. And I'm just taking it from the outer part of the lip and going in towards the middle. Now, when we put lipstick on, we kind of erase a lot of those lines. So I'm just going to be going this way. I'm not trying to obliterate the lines, but this is the cosmetics of her lip. The bottom lip, I'm just going on the outside edge. The top lip, I'm going over the whole thing. And now I'm going to take this redder tone and darken that middle line so that that's just a little more. And then you can put a little bump here for like just the little dent that can be right in the middle of your lips. And there we've got it. There. Pretty. Okay. We're going to go work back towards the eyes a little bit. So I'm going to give her some cosmetics. So I'm not going to use black because I just have found that using black for the upper eyeliner can be a little harsh. So this is that dark brown, and I'm just going over her lid line where you would have your eyeliner. Now, some people put eyeliner all the way around their eyes, and, you know, that's fine. It's just whatever you want. I'm going to take it and I'm going to make it very tiny, and I'm just going under the eye, but this is not cosmetics. This is the shadow that your eyelashes, they create a shadow on that bottom lid. And now I'm going to add some eyelashes. For the eyelashes, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find a black. Do I even have a black? I believe so, yeah. So I do not add every single eyelash because my experience has been it just kind of looks spidery. But I'm going to go ahead, wing out this, because that's the fashion today, is just kind of an eyeliner wing, both sides. And just kind of bring that out. And then I'm just going to be indicating some lashes. Now your lashes on the outside edge go in the direction of this way, out, out. Same here, out. But when you get towards the inner part of the eye, the direction is more the opposite. So I'm just going to put a few in right in here. There, okay. Bottom, just a few. Again, I'm not adding the whole eye because it just for me can get awfully spidery. So I'm just adding some individual lashes on the two edges, and then just maybe a few suggestions, but not a lot, because boy, I can get in trouble with that so fast. Okay, so there's our little bit of a glamour eye, I hope. Now, eyelid. Again, I'm going to be giving her some eyeshadow, so I think she's going to be using maybe in the brown family, and I'm just going to be laying in a little suggestion of color close to her eyelashes. And maybe she decided to go for a little bit of a smoky eye. So I'm going to put a little bit on the bottom here. We still haven't added the eyebrows, which will add a lot to her face again. Okay, so there's our little bit of cosmetics on her eyes. Now I'm going to add, with just a tiny bit darker of a brown, I'm going to add more of an eyelid, just right there, wherever it kind of seems to naturally flow for you. And then I'm going to, we haven't really decided on an eye or hair color yet, but since she's got brown eyes, maybe I'll go with maybe a brown tone, but I'm going to be using a lot of colors. So I'm just pulling out some of these brown tones to start with, and then I'm going to toss in, here's another brown, some of the reds, kind of, maybe she's kind of a chestnutty brown. So you can see the colors that I've kind of selected. And I'm going to start with one of the lightest colors and just start, and I'm holding the back of the pencil, and just start laying in some of her hair. Like I said, side part, and perhaps her hair is more coming over this shoulder, but behind on this side. So there we've got the start of her hair. I always think the hair just kind of brings the humanness more out. Okay, so I put all these brown colors. I want you to know, what I'm doing. I don't want you to think I've changed gears. Going for the next darker in the orange family and adding some of this. Again, just following the lines that I started with, holding the way back of the pencil. Now I'm going to go to the next darker color, lay it in, bring this out. So you can see that the hair is starting to read brown, even though you know, and I know, we've got a whole lot more colors in there than brown. I'm seeing that with the eyes too. We're getting more of the colors. And I'm gonna grab the next darker shade. And then I'm gonna add the next darker shade. They're all in the brown family. If you were going blonde, you could use the yellows, the oranges, the browns, just in a different combination and, you know, more of one, less of another. And here's where your practice is going to be coming in, and you just need to practice and see what your colored pencils want to do. Now I've got the darkest brown that's in this kit, and I'm laying in the darkest brown. But all those layers make so much difference. Now, so that she doesn't look quite so skullcappy, holding the back of the pencil, I'm going to add a few stray strands. Looks like she's in the wind, but it's all right. Just adding a few stray strands. She got a little wild there, but that's okay. Because I went a little wild, I'm just going to grab a couple of these other colors and add those in. And there we've got her hair. Okay, what about finishing up her eyes and her eyebrows? Well, I'm going to grab that, well, one of the browns, from the corner of your eye up to wherever you want that eyebrow to start. That's a good baseline. And I'm using short strokes because that is what our eyebrows are made up of, is short strokes. Again, lining up with that corner, and this eyebrow is hiding a bit under her hair. So, a little more on this side, a little less showing on this side. And there's her eyebrows. I think this side needs just a little more. Now, the eyebrow that grows closest to the corner can be kind of straight up. Look in the mirror and just kind of study what your eyebrows look like. Maybe mine are the only ones that have those up ones. I don't know. Okay, going back in with my brown, and I just want to darken now the top of her eye, the iris, because again, it's going to fall in a shadow. And now I'm going to pick a light source, and I've made this side just a little bit darker on her throat. So I'm going to pick up just a little more shadow on this side of the face. And in that Cupid's bow, and a little bit more here. I don't know why I got quiet. Grab my cotton bud and just kind of rub that shadow so that you don't have individual pencil lines, or not as much. And same down here, but just kind of darkening this shadow side. And this eye's more in the light. Okay, she needs pupils. So pupils are black. So I've got my black, and I'm going to fill in the pupils. There. Now we need some sparkle to the eye. I do have a white colored pencil. I'm not always very lucky when it comes to adding white on top of my pencil. It often vanishes, but I see artists do it universally. So I'm going to give it a try and just add a white shine. And I'm going from the pupil all the way to the edge of her eye. Same place in both eyes. I can't even see this. I don't even know how you would ever see it. So here's where, again, I'm going to grab, I have another pencil right here that I'm going to try. And this is waxier. Now this one I can see. But you may need to use like a white gel pen if you have it, or some other white pigment that you can add. And then I'm going to add a sparkle within the pupil. Now I don't see that. And then a little bit on this side. I barely see that. So, do I have my white? Because I want you to be able to see it. I don't know. I'm not going to make you wait for that. That white gel pen is so elusive. It's just crazy. But, yeah, I don't see it handy. So, well, we're just going to be using our imagination. That's fine. Okay, so, how's she looking? I think she's looking very, very nice. I really do. I'm going to see if I can darken this with some white anymore. Don't know if I can, but I'm going to add some shine. I'm going to try to add some shine to her lips. Now this I can see more again. Just adding a little shine to her lips. Okay, now, last step. I'm going to pick a bright color. This is almost a fluorescent green. And I'm just going to add some interest to her by adding in some deliberate lines just here and there. I'm not connecting these lines, but I'm just adding this little bit of interest. I'm going to add some to her eye. Little bit. And a little bit maybe in this bottom corner. A little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add to her throat just a little bit of this color. And then I'm going to add some to her hair. Just a little. And it's amazing what this other color can add to your picture. It's a color I haven't used anywhere else, but I could have. And there. Okay. I hope that you found this inspirational. I hope that you learned a little something. Again, this is very beginner, very basic drawing a face. Thank you so much for joining me. And if this was inspirational or helpful, I do hope that you'll give her a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks.